The Projectionist by Laura FitzGerald. Part 3.
I was confused. I didn't know why he'd done it. I knew he was upset, but this didn't seem in his nature at all. He'd always looked after me, like getting those sweets for me from the fair. All I knew was, when the photo appeared, I started to get a bit anxious. After a while, if someone so much as smiled at me in the street, I'd think they'd seen that photo of me and were thinking I was a slut. One day, about 3 weeks after the photo appeared, I had to go into town to buy a card. I went with my mum and we were standing in the queue of the card shop when I began to feel faint. Mum? My heart was going 10 to the dozen. I checked my pulse and it seemed my heart lurched. I thought it had stopped. I felt my blood was boiling and I couldn't get my breath. I thought I was going to die. I think there's something wrong with my heart. I actually thought, so this is where I die. I thought I was going to go mad and lash out. Everything became jagged. Mum didn't know what to do, and a woman in front of us said she thought I was hyperventilating, and she got a paper bag from the till and told me to breathe into it slowly, which worked for a bit, only the feeling kept coming back. I thought I was having a heart attack. Mum decided to take me to A&E. When we got there, they rushed me in and gave me a cardiogram to check my heart. They wired me to a machine, only the line for my pulse kept going flat and the nurse looked worried. I thought I was going to black out. Sorry, this is really hard for me to talk about. But when the doctor came over, he said I'd just had a panic attack. The line had kept going flat because the nurse hadn't got the pads attached to my chest right. That's all. Just a panic attack. I'm sorry, but there's no just about a panic attack. I had them all the time after that. I mean, it got to the point that if I so much as stepped outside the house, my heart would start racing. I couldn't be in the house without opening all the windows. I felt trapped. I couldn't control it. I felt constantly nauseous. I had pins and needles in my legs all the time, and everything kept going grey. I didn't know who I was anymore. I couldn't understand what was happening to me. No one around could understand what was happening to me. You know when people say things are hell? Well, that cheapens what that means. Hell exists. I know that for a fact. It's inside all of us waiting for something like this to happen. In the end, I was referred to a cognitive behavioural therapist. He worked by getting me to overcome the panic by thinking rationally, distracting myself, counting, keeping busy. It wasn't easy.
So, Candy, tell me, do you like to rearrange your cushions?
I'm sorry, I don't have any cushions.
What I mean is, do you like to feel in control?
Oh, a bit. I don't know. No more than other people, I wouldn't say. Well, maybe a bit because of my art.
So you'd say your privacy was important to you?
Well, yeah.
And yet you let Mark take photos of you having sex?
I took them of him as well. They were between me and Mark.
And how do you feel about him now? OK, so you took photos of each other in a private moment?
I trusted him. He trusted me. So what?
Well, perhaps some people like to be more private than others.
Sorry, do you think I'm some sort of a pervert?
No, really, Candy.
I mean, don't we all have the right to be private? That photo was private. He's made it public.
So, Candy, you care a lot about how people see you?
Yes, I don't know. Don't we all? I mean, that's part of who we are, our identity. Surely who we are isn't just how we see ourselves, but how others see us as well.
And you'd rather people didn't see you like this?
I'd rather they didn't see me at all.
Right. So you like to keep things secret?
No, come on. Don't we all have things that we wouldn't even want our best friends to know. Secrets aren't sinister. Not for most of us anyway, not most of the time. Look, Mark's broken the trust we had, and now that private photo of me is being seen by people I can't see, and that's what's so scary. People I don't know are making all sorts of assumptions about me that I can't find out about. I can't challenge. And now I can't draw. Did I tell you that? The thing that matters most to me in the world, I can't do anymore. I just sit and stare at the wall. It's like I've been violated. I'm violated. Do you understand?
I couldn't seem to look him in the eye. After the photo came out, I couldn't bear being near him. I blanked him. He blanked me. All I could think was, how would I feel if someone did that to me? I mean, if my own brother could do something like that, how could I trust anyone anymore? In this internet age, how many people do we let into our lives who we know nothing about? I began to feel less comfortable with my friends. I began to wonder if I could use the web to check people out. I mean, more quickly than searching one site at a time. Over the next few days, I wrote a program. If you typed in the name of a person, it would search 40 key sites and put all the results into one file. It was quick. It was easy. I was thinking forward. It was exciting. All the possibilities, all that information at my fingertips made me feel more in control.
I guess that's when I started to notice. I was being watched by cameras all over the place. I was being filmed and recorded by CCTV dozens of times every day, and yet no one had asked my permission. I found out that if you went into London for the day, you'd get caught on at least 300 cameras. When I went back to school, they'd even put CCTV over the sinks in the loos. It was meant to prevent bullying, only the bullies just moved on to another place beyond the school gates. I found it hard to get better with all these cameras around.
The next time I saw her was in assembly. I hated assembly by then because I had to sit very close to people, so I kept my eyes to the front. She was sitting 3 rows ahead, and a few minutes in, I saw her shoulders heave. She was cupping her hands over her face, and she looked really frightened. When I saw her in the corridor after, I wanted to go up to her. I wanted to hug her and just say sorry for how I'd helped Mark with the photos, that I should have twigged what he was planning to do. But I lost my nerve and she turned away. I didn't see her again after that.
Each time I went into class, I couldn't concentrate. I kept thinking, what if I have an attack? I began to fall behind. I took advice and took a break from school, which turned into leaving, for good. I tried my hand at a few things like working in shops and hairdressers, nothing much. At one point, I enrolled in a life drawing class, only a guy in our group found that photo of me again on the web, and the whole thing blew up like before, and I couldn't go on. You know, even now, years later, that photo is still out there. It's just out of reach all the time, waiting to catch me. It's false. It floats. It's white. Clings to me like those bits of polystyrene I got all over me when Mark and I met. You know, it's not true what they say about time. I'm sure it can heal many things, but time can't heal something like this.
Throughout 2014, anti-terrorist measures have been tightened. ID checks are now in place at all public buildings. Soon, each person's mobile phone number will be taken so that their location can be tracked on site. Whether this will prove to be viable in the long run remains to be seen, with public sector workers voicing concern over the implications this may have for their privacy.
The government has today announced that the number of CCTV cameras will increase by at least 20% in 2015. Facial recognition will become widespread to enable automatic tracing of us all by our appearance. With cameras becoming increasingly sensitive, pressure is mounting for residents to be informed of the positions of any new cameras that may affect their property. We pass now to our technology correspondent.
With 14 killed in this, the first terrorist attack of 2016, we ask, is our surveillance policy working? With a weekend of demonstrations planned, we look at...
Perfect. By 2016, it was a perfect place for people like me. The country depended on surveillance. I'd studied IT at university and gone into the field of data analysis. At Crosstech, the company I worked for, they had a nickname for me. The Projectionist. Not the cinema kind, the data kind. Because that's what I did. It was fantastic. I was at the forefront of technology. I had all this information on everyone in the country at my fingertips.
We'd gone our own ways, Abby and me. I'd not seen her for some time, but I was training as a teacher. I was finding myself from my sessions at school. The parents said I was kind, and the head said the children responded to me. I had a few girlfriends, but I couldn't forget Candy. I wanted to say sorry for what I'd done, but I couldn't pluck up the courage to find her. I was sort of paralysed. The whole country was paralysed, and with the news as it was, everyone felt a bit tense.
I had to go into London that day to speak at a conference, to explain what I did to some would-be clients. I tried to get out of it. I couldn't handle it. I was in no fit state to present. I was scared, not because of having to talk, but... put it this way. I'd just bought a pregnancy kit.
I'd received the alerts. The web was alive. News of the demo spread through the chat rooms, blogs, text. I went up on the train. People arrived waving huge banners saying no to surveillance and liberty, not fear. Banners big enough to obscure our faces. People in caps, hoods, masks, because the police were filming close up, had cameras attached to their helmets. I was caught up in it. Swept along. I wore a carnival mask, but I lost it somewhere in the crash.
I was off Piccadilly. The conference room was hot. I'd not yet done the test. I'd only known him one night. That was all I wanted. He'd wanted. Getting close. Involved. That wasn't me anymore. When I got up to present, I felt a bit weak. The demo didn't concern me, only the noise outside didn't help.
So if perhaps you could save your questions until the end? Good. Now, if you look at this first slide, you'll see that at Crosstech what we do is find out about people. Say you work for a company and you're looking to recruit someone. You give us their name and our system searches for all their data. From their ID card, the National Identity Register, their NHS record, social security, education records, shopping accounts, financial statements, phone records, web searches, Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, you name it. And that's only scratching the surface. We can legally access at least 5,000 sources of data covering every person in the land. Once we've found that data, what we have is a picture of who that person is and how they behave. It's their identity, in effect. And then it gets really interesting. From that, we can work out how that person is likely to behave in the future. This is called their projection. Their projection, okay? And how do we do that? Well, we look at how people similar to them have acted in the past and assume that this person will act in pretty much the same way. Any questions? Yes.
Wave after wave of protesters. You see, me and my friend were holed up in this restaurant near Leicester Square. We couldn't get out for the crowd, so starter, pasta, pud, and we're not getting on well. And I'm getting concerned, time's running by.
Then it came. The text to our phones we'd been told to expect. We knew to fall silent, sit down in the road, and we got out these mirrors we'd brought, right? That was the plan. We angled them up at the sun, caught the light, shone it at the police into their cameras. It was peaceful. A statement. Don't film us.
And there were these specks of light, these glints of sun bounding around here and there on the tables and walls. I didn't get it at first. It was like a nightclub. No, more freer than that, like a festival. Yeah, a festival.
The police seemed confused. It was working. They were looking around, couldn't work out what they should do, and 5 minutes on, we get the next text. Put the mirrors away. Short and sharp. That was it. Dazzle, then go.
I looked out of the window and I tried to see what was going on, and I saw a face that I knew in the crowd. No, surely. I turned back and said to my friend, I'll be back in a minute, all right? Candy? Wait, sorry, no, just, sorry, excuse me. Excuse me? Cand? What are you doing here?
What do you...
Oh, I see.
Are you here
I can't believe that,
You on the demo?
No, but I was in that restaurant when I saw you.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get in touch, but I thought that you might not like that. Well, I left it.
Fair enough. So, how's things with you?
Good, really good.
Still drifting?
No, I'm teaching almost soon. I've got my first job. It's a bit sudden.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard this morning, told I've got it barring some paperwork. They said some formality. You're looking really...
Thanks. You too.
Would you like to join us, for coffee?
Us?
It's just a friend, girl.
Oh, I see.
No, I mean...
Mark. The photo. Why did you do it?
I've been meaning to... Well, I'm glad that you, 'cause I've wanted to... Listen, the restaurant does these great cappuccinos with this little biscuity thing.
I think it looks like we're heading off now.
I see, leave.
What?
I mean, I just don't see what all the fuss is about. I mean, I'd rather be watched than dead, you know?
Mark, this is important. It's about the government not trusting us. Oh, what would you understand about trust?
No, wait.
Leave me alone. Don't
Please,
follow me.
Candy, just please.
I said don't follow me.
Candy, sod it, stupid. God, Mark. Idiot. Why did you have to say that?